Hey everyone, Mr. Tweet here. So today I'm going to talk to you guys about absolute and comparative advantage. And these two concepts are really important for us to understand our trade model. So our trade model is going to be built off of our PPC model. In the PPC, remember, we had a person or a country, and they had two different things that they could produce, and they used all of their resource to produce those two things. In the trade model, we've got two people or two countries that can produce two things. So it's very similar, but now we've got two different agents that can that have this choice to make, and we're going to see how that changes things. In this model, absolute and comparative advantage are going to be really important. Now, it turns out that Adam Smith, the father of economics and the guy who kind of came up with the idea of the invisible hand and was the first one who really kind of put down on paper a lot of the way that markets work. Adam Smith was under the belief that if somebody, in this idea of two people producing two different things, that if one of them had the absolute advantage in both, that person was just better off to do it themselves, to just kind of not trade and just kind of stay on their own. And it wasn't until another economist named David Ricardo came along, and David Ricardo was like, actually, the absolute advantage is not what's important. It's really the comparative advantage that's important. And so in order for you to kind of understand this model, you've got to know both absolute advantage and comparative advantage. Absolute advantage is easy. It's can you make more, or if we're both producing the same, can you do it with fewer resources? Can you do it more efficiently? So if you can either make more out of the same resources, or if you can use less resources to do the same, you have the absolute advantage. The comparative advantage is who could do it with the lowest per unit opportunity cost. So who has the lowest opportunity cost per unit gained, right? And so what you do is you take what you gave up divided by what you got, and that tells you your per unit opportunity cost. And if you have a lower per unit opportunity cost, you have the comparative advantage. It means that you can do it cheaper. All right? So that's absolute advantage and comparative advantage. What you're going to see tomorrow is that these terms are going to be really important when we build our trade model, so that we can show how trade shifts the PPC, in addition to the idea of how trade is beneficial for people. All right, so that's kind of where we're headed tomorrow and the next day. All righty, have a good one.